So hello everybody, how you all doing? I know it's been a while since we've last seen each other, maybe like less than a week, who knows. I wanted to start making like lower form, like longer style content on this channel. Possibly getting a camera and stuff to make different things, like different videos or different pieces of hardware and software and stuff. And I figured why not just start with a pretty basic, pretty interesting first one, that being Ubuntu. So as you can see, I put Ubuntu on my main rig. I installed it about an hour ago, more than an hour ago actually, almost 2 hours ago. And I already installed some software and some tools and utilities to help speed up the process of installing software and stuff. But we will go over each and everything and some details on why I picked it. And we'll also go over how to set up Ubuntu for gaming. Because believe it or not, this machine is pretty capable when it comes to gaming. And I want to take advantage of it as much as I possibly can. That being said, some of the notes may have some mistakes and some things, and I'll put every single thing down in the description below, where you guys can follow along. And if you're installing Ubuntu and not having updated and everything, and you're thinking of trying Ubuntu out, you can use this as a point of reference if you're interested in this sort of stuff. I'm not saying that Ubuntu is for everyone. I just recently put it on my laptop, looked at it, thought, you know what, this is amazing, let's do this instead. And that's what I picked, that's what we've decided to use, and it's currently running on my laptop. It's pretty great, I really like it. So we're gonna be scheduling in Ubuntu right now. As you can see, we are on the main rig right now. 12 CPU cores basically, or more like 6 cores of threads. 32 gigs of RAM. I think that's 43.6 for some reason. And this is my network card and stuff. And also this is the main rig, like 1 terabyte of storage for this capacity, just one SSD. I'm planning on getting a bigger one at some point, but we'll see about that. Maybe possibly already even. So, what's this video about? This video will be just setting up everything on this machine right here, and we'll be using these notes right here as well, in conjunction with everything. So, all we really need is the look at like the CPU and the memory. So we can actually hide all of these other things because we're not gonna need them for now. But that's good enough for me. What's different compared to all the other things that we've done so far on the system? I've already upgraded and reinstalled Firefox and a couple utilities. As you can see, I've also enabled Flatpak stuff, but once we get to those points, I will mention you what I did exactly and how to get it all set up and installed. I'll describe it, like how I did it, even possibly show some things and bits and pieces. First thing, according to the notes, upgrading your system and installing a package that helps us with using Ubuntu a bit more properly. So you copy, paste in the first 3 commands, which is sudo apt update, the first sudo apt install command, and a sudo apt upgrade command. Type in your super secret, super long, super majestic password. Let it all update everything, install everything else, and there we go. Everything has been updated, and as you can see, nothing to upgrade, nothing to update since I've already done this step. And it also went ahead and installed the tool. If you're about to install the first one, you may want to do that while on here so it installs automatically, so you don't have to press anything, it goes. Next thing, disabling Firefox and everything. If you want to install it properly without any user input whatsoever, you may want to do it like this. If you want to install Firefox, the apt version, which is the more superior version, the version that everyone should be using no matter what, copy this, paste everything in, hit enter, let it do its thing. Again, you want to hit everything, update everything, and you should be good. You can also set it up so it asks me to hit enter, but you can also make it like so it automatically goes. I may look into that, but we have now Firefox installed. as a apt version instead of the snap version, which you can see over here. It has a different build stuff, different build tag, and it doesn't have snap in there as it would normally, which means we've installed the apt version of Firefox. In fact, it's already here. I can just click it. That's the apt version of Firefox. I accidentally went to quit that basic stupid shit that I do. Go to help, about Firefox, and you can see canonical 105, blah blah blah. So that's the apt version of Firefox, because there's some issues with the snapped version. So we will be using Flatpaks mostly, and snaps not as much. So just letting you guys know. Also, we're keeping an eye on the CPU and memory. The GPU is not as important right now since we're using it for recording, so obviously that would be a lot more usage, but that's not really important right now. So after doing that, you've basically installed the basic things. Now we need to install some basic utilities and things to get stuff going. First thing being this command. Basically what this installs is install some basic web interfacing stuff like curl and vget. And there's a few other things. Some things are repeating themselves, I'm noticing. App-transport SSA HTTPS is repeating. So let me just fix that in the notes. And I'll fix that here as well. Or not, I accidentally hit enter on this. But basically what it does, you install the app-transport HTTPS, the app module called transport HTTPS. Then you install Blues for Bluetooth and pulse audio with all of its modules. This star thing is basically telling it find every single package that matches pulse audio. Basically we're using wildcards in this. And next you want to install software properties common. This is needed if you want to get properties about certain pieces of software. And then there's vget, as I mentioned. Vget and curl are tools that are used for interfacing with the web and downloading files or even web pages and stuff. And bashtop or even htop as another tool which I can install right now. Install htop, for example. The htop is another system monitoring tool, so if I were to run htop, you can see pretty much something similar to this here, but it's more in a terminal form. Bashtop is another thing. It requires, however, a certain window size to work. You won't be able to see everything, but if I were to resize it, you have your cores, temperatures, not your clock speed for some reason. Other versions have that, but your storage, memory, network usage, and processes which are currently running on this machine. But yeah, that's pretty much Bashtop, a quick overview of it. Next up, we'll be installing some software development stuff. So we'll use the first command because it's easier to explain. So the first command, basically, to understand what it does, if I haven't explained what it does, is sudo apt install. Apt install is the basic thing you use to install packages through apt. And sudo gives it elevated privileges, kind of like root, so you give it root access to these utilities. -y is a flag, a parameter, if you will, that says confirm the install, like press Y for me, because if you are installing software on Ubuntu or Debian-based distributions that use apt, if you don't put in -y, it will ask you to confirm the installation. So if you want to make this seamless, just put -y and install all these tools like Git, Dialog, UID, UID runtime, curl, gawk. Curl we already installed, so it's repeating here again. Gawk is just awk and stuff. Build Essentials will install all the basic development utilities and tools for Debian-based distributions and Ubuntu as well. And GCC Multilib is just some libraries for GCC that you need for developing and building C++ and basically building stuff with GCC. So we'll run this, it will install. Apparently I didn't install everything, so we'll run this, it will install everything else. It also removed a few packages, but that's fine. It will install just GCC Multilib. Now, however, we need to install some specific tools. Now, these aren't all the tools. I will be installing some later. I need to update this, I'm now noticing. So luckily, I have access to my drive here. And I can actually get a I would have to copy it. I'm noticing I didn't copy it. But there's a few more things. So let me quickly do that over on my laptop. If you guys could just watch that directory, there should be a file soon. If I find that file, that is. Uh, this. Find that directory. It's there. And we should have another file added here soon enough. Maybe a refresh. There it is, outbuild.sh. Open up a text editor, and here is all the tools actually. So we'll copy that over. Yes, that's my script. Deal with it. UAD core runtime. Yeah, sure. Alright, so this has been updated now. We can close this now. This is no longer necessary. Alrighty then, and here's what we're gonna do. So we need to add sudo at the beginning of each and every one, because this has been taken from a script just now. That script is for another video in the future. If you guys would be interested in that, just let me know. For now, it's not important. It's a project right now, so it's not important. So all of these will install all the recommended libraries for development and stuff. Basically all the GCC and Linux kernel compiling stuff if you want to compile kernel modules and things for what is it called? Things for like the ARM based single board computers, that being the Orange Pi or the Asus Tinkerboard and stuff like that. So there are certain tools, for example, we'll be using I'm using on my laptop when I'm building images, I'm using Armbian's like toolchain to build those images for those single board computers. It took a while to figure out, but I did manage to update a repository recently with all the things, files, and steps how to get it running. So we're gonna run this. This will install all the other remaining packages, tools, and things that we need in order to be set up and ready to go with installing all the other development tools and packages. So this is what we're going for. Some of these will be quite large. So for example, this one will actually take quite a bit of time because that's like 4 gigs of space just in development tools. And you know, it will take some time to install that. Luckily my internet speed and SSD is quite fast, so it shouldn't take that long. Which I should go over why I picked Ubuntu actually. Ubuntu is one of the many distros I actually started out on, as many people did as well. There's quite a good reason actually why I went back to Ubuntu, and that was I just wanted to give it a shot. I used it on my laptop for about a week or two, and I was like, okay, this is really good. I have to get it on this, and that's how we ended up with this. So. And there it is, it's already installed. Didn't take that much time at all. I should have measured it with time command, but that's not important right now. Right, so another pretty important tool in my tech stack that I use also at work as a systems engineer or DevOps engineer, whatever you want to call me. Systems engineer, DevOps engineer, basically the same thing, is VS Code. VS Code is a text editor that is quite lightweight and works really nicely when it comes to writing basic code or just working on bigger projects, and you know that you're gonna need a faster editor or a fast editing utility or fast editing tool. That's what you want to go for. You want to absolutely sorry about that. You want to absolutely have VS Code in your tech stack. You can use some derivatives of it, known as CodeOSS or VS Codium. VS Codium being one of the definitely more popular ones. And if you know me personally, I used to use VS Codium, but I used also CodeOSS, and I also used VS Code, and I also keep using VS Code in my work. So it's just the all around perfect tool in my opinion. It's super fast, it's extremely extensible, you can add a ton of extensions to it. There's also a basic setup and stuff, but that doesn't really matter. When it comes to compiling, since we're already mentioning that, we want to maximize, or actually maximize the amount of time that our computer can compile for. And one of the major limiting factors in computers when it comes to compiling or this heavy CPU duty stuff, such as in compiling, is the heat output or the lower clock speeds. So on my laptop, if I don't limit the clock speed to a certain point, my laptop will straight up crash while compiling, which happened once overnight and I got pretty pissed. So I limited the clock speed on my laptop to like 2.9 gigahertz, basically 3 gigahertz on all 8 of its cores, and it's capable of compiling overnight just fine. And it doesn't overheat as much anymore since we've limited the clock speed. However, since we're on my desktop, I went all out. I let it go up to 4.5 gigahertz on all of its cores, so all the 12 threads that you see over here will let it go to up to 4.5 gigahertz and stay at 4.5 gigahertz under the maximum CPU performance thing, which will then make sense once we go over setting up sensors, why it's churning out so much heat. We're forcing it to run at maximum speed so we can have the lowest latency and everything possible. So yeah, that's one thing. That's one really cool thing you can do. We forced it to use the CPU performance governor. All the cores have been set to maximum speed to never slow down and keep themselves at maximum speed. So CPU bound tasks shouldn't be an issue anymore, I think. Also, it's not gonna keep changing dynamically. We can let it go at max speed, or even limit the clock speed if we truly wanted to, but I'm not gonna do that. That's stupid. I recommend keeping it running in the background. For example, I'll be running here. It's out of the way, out of sight, out of mind. Really simple. To get this working and installed for limiting CPU speed, you want to run the following commands. That being indicator CPU frequency, or indicator CPU frag, CPU frag utils, and CPU power GUI. So all of these tools are needed. For example, CPU frag utils will let you set a limit on CPU clock speed, and indicator CPU frag are, well, indicators on how fast your CPU is running. So these are required in order for you to know, hey, it's running at this speed, it's running at that speed. And each and every core or thread, even in my case, is down to each and every thread in my system. So, or in my CPU rather. So I can see it for each individual thread, how many temperatures it has. In fact, you can see it under Bashtop. If we're on Bashtop again, you will notice if I stretch this out a bit, it shows just 10 cores. Come on, show me the remaining 2. 10, 11. Oh, come on, show me the last one. Oh, come on. How big of a space you need for the 12th one? There we go. So all the cores here, and you can see the temperatures right here, right now, as we are recording. Bear in mind, we're not using that much CPU for recording. We're actually recording using my GPU mostly, and that's why we're not seeing that much of a hit on our CPU. Because we're recording using our GPU mostly. So if it went down to recording gameplay, it may actually be better to record using our CPU instead of our GPU, which is something I didn't think about before starting this, and we're already about 20 minutes in. I'm not gonna repeat myself again. I'm already recording this once. I'm gonna leave it as it is. Maybe the recording will be a bit laggy when it comes to recording gameplay itself. I don't really care as long as it works. So in order to get the sensors and temperatures and everything to be read, we need to give it the permissions it needs, obviously. So to do this, there's another step we can do. That's setting up the sensors detect thing. For this, you need to, well, have sensors installed. To do this, if you don't have sensors installed already, you can install them easily by doing sudo apt install sensors. If I can type sensors. Oh, it's LM sensors, my bad. LM sensors. Is it? Oh, it's LM dash sensors. Okay. We need to add this then. Sudo apt install LM dash sensors. Alright. It's been updated. Which is a sensors utility, and if you run sudo sensors detect, it will bring up this thing about the CPU and all the other things. It will ask you some questions. Basically, you want to answer yes to every single thing. So you want to say yes or why. It will give you the same thing. Or if you want to run this again improperly, just type in yes onto everything. It should do the same thing. You could also try out typing the terminal, but I wouldn't recommend it. Oh, wait, I'm an idiot. Okay. So, scan this as well. So it's going each individual one, and then press enter here. Go yes here, and you're done. So now if you run sudo sensors, or just sensors in general, doesn't matter, it will give you a readout about the temperatures of your CPU, and that's also why the first time when you launch BashTop it doesn't actually show you the temperatures. You need to go through this step at least once, and then it's already set up and you don't have to think about it anymore, and it will let you use this to actually get a temperature readout. That's why BashTop also showed the temperatures when I showed it, because I already went through this setup before. And you basically want to go through yes on everything, and on that one step you want to hit enter to continue. So make sure to read so you don't have to repeat it multiple times like I did. And if you want to get a interesting readout, just type in watch /1 sensors, and this will update every single second. So there you go. Each and every second you can get a temperature readout, which is pretty useful. If you don't have a temperature readout in, for example, HTOP, you can use this to get a temperature readout. So yeah, and we're also running at like 4.5 gigahertz all the time on the CPU, so that's pretty cool. Also, what the watch-n command does, it runs the command every second in a separate terminal-like session or window, right? It like clears the screen, renders it, and does that every second. You can limit it, for example, update every 2 seconds, so you can see it right there. Every 2 seconds it updates. It's pretty useful as a monitoring utility. You'll notice the temperatures change every 2 seconds in the output because we put in a 2 instead of a 1. Pretty simple stuff, pretty self-explanatory. This is the Samba stuff. I already set up Samba, but for those who don't know, if you want to set up Samba, you just do sudo apt install Samba. To install Samba, you need to have Samba in order to use Samba. So install Samba like this. Sudo apt install Samba. For some reason I didn't add it in. Samba. There we go. And if you want to use Samba on your account, you're gonna have to add your user to the group. So there's a command called sudo smbp passvd-a for adding a user, and then the username, which in my case is me, myself. I'm adding myself to the Samba user group with this. So you use sudo as the root because it's a elevated thing. You need to have elevated privileges for this. So you do this, you then enter it out, type in the new password. I would recommend keeping the new password as the password you use for logging into your system. Or if you have automatic logins and you don't know it, ask your partner or someone that set it up for you for the password so it's consistent. But right now we've added the we've added the user to we've actually used the SMB password. This will basically create a password for the Samba share, not adding the user to a group, but adding a password to the Samba share for this user. So if you were, for example, thinking of adding somebody else, you can do this. You can create a Samba password for your shares in here through this. So not what I said before. You know what I said before? This is for creating passwords and users for your Samba shares. We're not going to go into any detail about any other shares or anything, but we should be able to SSH into it, where I could actually show you guys the file that's been set up for the Samba share itself, so you guys can understand. So let me do that real quick. Let me grab the IP of my laptop right here. I'll actually move them with me, so you guys can actually hear me still pretty nicely. Need to bring up the terminal again. Bring up a new window. Balls. Sorry about that. Let's go to CP. /r. I can't type /r / Etsy. No. I think it's Samba. Yep. Samba, and there should be smb.com. So we're gonna transfer that over to our directory, into our share right away. So what I want you guys to keep attention to, I didn't explain this, but basically over here you might have noticed I have access to my Samba share. So here what I want you guys to look for is a new file that will show up here at any point or time. So there will be a new file. If I run this command, I refresh it, there's a new file. Can you spot it? smb.conf, that's the file that we just shared with us into our Samba share. I can go through it, show you guys what I actually did to do this. Machine. Okay, so I've closed the terminal and stuff, my other development machine, which is my laptop. So yeah, let's go through this file, shall we? Let's open it in here and let's find the share that we've created. So here it is. So basically, to go through the setup here, you basically install it, then you change the Samba share stuff, which I don't know why I copied this. This is fixed, that one is wrong. And basically you create a, or normally you would create a backup. So the way you create a backup is, I can actually show you this over here. Sudo cp -r /Etsy Samba smb.conf, and you put in basically the exact same thing. So Etsy Samba smb.conf, but put in .back like this, and this will create a backup. So if I do Etsy Samba smb.conf .back, the last command is similar to cat, but it gives you control over what you see, and it doesn't allow you to edit the file, so you can only view it. You can use navigation keys like up and down arrows, or even page down, page up to get a faster navigation. Normally this file will have only printers or prints in it, but my file, the edited one, actually has another share here added in. Basically, the way it's configured on the laptop is I have a path set up for this folder here, which actually matches, if you go back up, can you go back up by one directory perhaps? So IdeaPad, and here it is. So this is the Elminster home. So this is the share that we've like connected to. Let me disconnect from the share. this is what you see if you access it. So you'll see the laptop here, and you'll see the share here, and the share matches everything that's here. So here's the name of the share, which is the Elminister home backup. Elminister is the name of this machine on which we're recording this right now, that we are using for I used this to back up over the internet. If you've seen my latest tweet, which I regret, it basically you can actually find the tweet in the meantime when I'm describing this. Basically what the tweet was is a a photo of me showing people. I think this is it. Yep, I found the tweet. I knew it was somewhere. So this is basically the tweet that I've sent out. As you can see, it's me copying to a share on my local network. And no, you cannot hack this password. It is a share on my local network, which is the laptop. As you can see, I still was running KDE under Fedora Linux before you moving to Ubuntu. And basically what I did is I set up a share and accessed it through my main computer like I did just now, and just transferred all my important home folder files over to here. So all the important stuff is backed up. Everything that's important to me is backed up in that shared folder. I still haven't moved over any of the files, at least for now I haven't. So that's basically the gist of it. So then you can see this share, you double click it to access it, and that's what you have. You have access to the folder, so you can actually share files between your computers, which I'm gonna use to then transfer everything from my home folder here over to my main drive once I'm finished with this very video. Which is also why I've quickly made a backup, grab my backup file. Browsable, which means we can actually view the freaking folder. We can browse through it. Guests only now, guests are okay. These two are important so that anyone can actually access it. I use my accounts to access it. And here we have read and write list. Read list is giving separate users or even groups read access. Reading access is you can read, but you cannot modify any of the files. Writing list gives again a list of either users or groups that can in fact edit these files. So read, write, you can read the files, edit them, save them, you can edit these files. And this is just forcing some folders that anybody can go in and create and do anything with these. These are basic Unix permission things. Basically you have the local user, group, and then anybody or everybody. I think that's how it goes. Not really sure on that. I have to Google it. I simply don't wanna waste any time with that. But basically, we can actually look this up. Unix file permissions 0777, and let's see what that means. So 0777 means read, write, execute. So read, write, execute for owner, group, and others. That's what it means. So pretty much everyone that has access to it can read, write, and execute, but that's for the directory. When it comes to accessing the directory, it's handled via the read and write list here. So we're not giving blatant access to absolute, well, we are in this case, but you can limit this to certain users. For example, let's say I wanted my parents to access a certain directory, I would add their usernames here, or my brother to access a certain directory, I will get him access to a different one using this method. It's pretty self-explanatory, pretty simple to read. Well, once you save it, you then restart the service, and then you look at the status. If you see a status like this, that means that if it says it's ready to serve connections, that means that it's set up to be used for accessing, just like we are right now. And if I were to run it on my laptop, which I don't think I have SSH access to because I don't remember the IP, it's okay, it works. It also says started or starting the daemon, so you can look into that if you want to, but it actually says it right here, starting or started, so that's okay. Right, so that was a bit long for explaining Samba and stuff related to it, a quick overview and stuff. Also hit Q if you're in less and you don't want to browse. Let's say you browsed enough, hit Q and you're out of it. Pretty simple stuff. Pretty self-explanatory once you get used to it, but for me it's pretty simple. All right. Next up, setting up Flatpaks. So I already did this, but I'm gonna explain to you what I did to actually get this to the point where it is right now. So normally, you don't have Flatpaks or any of the extensions installed for Flatpak. Flatpaks are basically another way of installing things related to applications. So, for example, you can install a Flatpak for OBS, a Flatpak for Discord. I actually installed a Flatpak for OBS and Discord on this very machine. I can show you how I installed those in a moment. But basically, if you want your Flatpaks to show up under Ubuntu at least, there's a few things you need to. So you obviously install all the plugins and stuff. So basically, you install Flatpak with sudo apt install Flatpak. You install the GNOME software plugin, which means that if you are going to install software, you'll be able to choose from Flatpaks. So if we do GNOME software and we type in, I don't know, Discord, cannot type apparently, and we go over here, you'll notice we have the Flatpak version installed of Discord. And if I want to run it, there's Discord. It shows up, it's starting up. I'm not logged in, so I'm not gonna bother logging in once it pops up. It actually tries to log in via my browser. I'm not logged in, but that's Discord for you. And you need to add the remote. The remote is basically, hey, use FlatHub as your source for getting those applications. So you can add this one. There exist multiple remotes you can use to get applications from there, but it's up to you to install them. But they won't show up like they do for me. So when I type in Discord, it shows up only because of another thing I did. I will show you that in a second. That's related to this. So this is a property in your system. It's not as filled as mine is, but basically you'll have only this, some basic snappy stuff and no Flatpak stuff. If you want to add the Flatpak stuff in, make sure to change the username in here. I'm gonna keep it in here, but make sure to change the username. I'm saying this right now. Make sure to change the username as you're going into this. If you don't change the username, it will not work for you. Change the username in your home directory, otherwise you're screwed. You could make it so that it's related to the user by putting in a $sign user, but I haven't tested it, haven't made sure it works that way. So if I were you, I would just take this, rename it to your username, and then put in this command. This will modify your this will create a xsession.rc file. So if we do less xsession.rc, this actually isn't pretty to read. Let's use cat instead. So cat is another tool you can use. Can't type apparently. Cat is another type you can is another command you can use to display text from a text file. So it creates this text file here, and every single time you start your X session or BattleNet session or whatever, this will execute and set up the data directories. What these are directories for all the applications that you've installed using either Snap or Ubuntu integrated stuff or any user share. If you've installed apps through apt, that's where it goes, or any app that you've installed using Flatpaks, which is what we've added here with the warlib Flatpak exports share and the local share Flatpak exports share. This basically gives it a reference point so you can use Flatpaks, and that's also why I was able to use OBS through a Flatpak to have access to OBS and do this very recording, which is already quite long, but we're not done yet. There's quite a bit of stuff we have to go over in order to continue. My favorite ground editor, Ghostwriter. So we add a repository. This is a repository. I think I already added this, but basically, if you're about to add a repository, you do it like this. It will ask you, hit enter, and it will automatically do an update. So technically, you do not have to execute this command here, this apt update thing, but I do it always anyway because it's a force of habit. But you technically don't have to do this again. And then you just do sudo apt install Ghostwriter. And if you do that correctly, if I type in Ghostwriter, this is what you will, this is a text, the test file, so I can edit it. For example, text, or this file won't be here. You will have this blank stuff, but once you start writing some basic markdown code, it will like show up here. I can't really do like the hashbangs and stuff, but you get the idea. It works as a tool that you can use to write markdowns with. I actually use it for a repo that I'm currently working in my spare time, which is related to building those already mentioned images for single board computers. I use this tool to create the documentation for it, so any change you do shows up on the right side, and it's a really simple, really easy to use tool. You just start writing, then you save the file, and that's it. That's all you do. So that's pretty much it for this tool. Well, since I already mentioned repositories and stuff, also Discord isn't technically closed, it's actually running here, so I'm going to close it. So another thing that's pretty important, preparing Git. So if you remember, during the installation of our build stuff or build packages, we have actually installed Git. In fact, we're currently running Git version 2.34.1. I'm sorry, kind of sick right now, it's weird. Anyways, so basically, we've got Git installed, right? We need to set up our user. So I already have it set up basically, but I'm gonna run this anyway. And all it does, it sets up Git for my local user here with my email address, sets up the automatic coloring of things in the UI, and it also sets it up so it knows my global username. If you have multiple users, you may want to change this. But if you have just a single user on your computer, which happens to be me on my computers, that being my laptop or my desktop, this seems to work just fine for me without any issues. Bear in mind, GitHub recently removed the authentication through regular passwords and usernames, and you have to use an authentication token. I have mine generated, and I have to transfer it over from my from my laptop to my main computer to be able to use it. But you have to get your own access token, and I have it set up so I can have access to absolutely everything with just one single token. I don't have to remember every single freaking thing. So I'm not gonna show my token. I'm gonna keep it secret for myself. But I use that token to do my development stuff, do all the work that I do in my personal time. There's a few other tools I didn't mention. For example, let's install Krita. Then there is Mousepad, another text editor. Then there is there's Python stuff. We didn't install Python stuff yet, but technically speaking, if you know how to install Python, which we can Google, look it up, and turn this video into a bit of a longer one, if you guys don't mind. But basically, you want to install some basic tools that you can use for other things later down the line. There's what sorts of tools are there actually? I don't really use that much. I mostly just do things in the terminal nowadays. There's Steam, Lutris, that's gaming stuff. We will cover that shortly. In terms of utilities, I really don't know what else. So if I were to do this, it shows everything for Krita and Mousepad. So we're just now installing Krita and Mousepad. I'm not gonna put that in the notes. It's just you search it, you can find it, you can install it. That's it. So it comes down to you pretty much have to have all your apps installed and set up, and that's it. So if we do Mousepad, there's Mousepad. We've just installed it. Simple text editor. Don't save it. And Krita, a simple, it's a image editor, which hopefully will open. Otherwise I will look like a idiot for not. Okay, there we go. Takes a while, but that's pretty much it. That's the That's the image editor. It's a pretty much a Photoshop alternative. It's not a replacement, it's a alternative. So if you know how to use this, you are pretty much ready to go when it comes to image editing. There's also GIMP, so forgot about that. But sometimes I do get GIMP files, so it's better to also have GIMP installed as well. I have a pretty fast internet, pretty fast computer, so we now have GIMP installed as well. Oh, there it is. It took a while, but there's GIMP installed on my system. Also one really neat thing, if you press the Control key, well, actually the Windows key, which is your master key, you have an overview of all the workspace windows that you have open. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. Also with their relative positions to everything, and it changes, but that's not important right now. So let's have a look at our memory footprint. Our memory footprint looks like 2.9 gigs out of 33.6, and none of our swap has been used yet. So I guess the only thing left to do is setting up installing Wine. So Wine is a tool that lets you run Windows software under Linux, and it's pretty handy to have. We can actually use this other part of this installation sensation. Not sure if I'm gonna call it that. I don't want to get into legal trouble. But we should be able, after installing all the following things I'm gonna show you, we should be able to get a somewhat decent gaming setup ready to be used and ready to start gaming on. There are a few things we'll go over, like setting up the cache and everything, but it's something that's really not important right now. So, setting up Wine. So you basically what you want to do is, if you want to set up Wine under Ubuntu 22.04, I think I installed. Forgot already. 22.4 LTS. So if you want to set up under 22.4 LTS, you can copy and paste all of these commands. They have certain things in them to make it easier for us. We'll just copy and paste them in, and it will do all the things for us and install everything that we need. Bear in mind, this will eat up quite a bit of storage. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. Should be done at any point pretty soon, I think. And there's Wine now being installed, Wine staging and stuff. Basically what I just did is I installed Wine and all of its dependencies, all the things that we need in order to get all the games and stuff to work flawlessly. I also have like a different script ready that lets us install all the SDL2 stuff, and it's a pretty professional looking script. I plan on making a separate video on that script alone, so keep an eye out for that. It may be a bit of a shorter style video than this one. This one is already getting pretty long, but we're not done yet. This is just installing Wine. So if we do Wine -- version, you'll notice we're currently running Wine 7.18 staging, which is what we want. Staging, apart from development or stable versions, because there are 3 versions. There's stable, development, and staging. Stable, as the name says, is the one meant for you to run without any experimental code or features. Development has some developmental features and code and stuff in there, mainly used for Wine development. And then there's staging. The difference between staging and stable is stable can be thought of as a production environment, whereas staging is an environment where you can basically do whatever you want. It has experimental stuff, experimental patches, experimental fixes, and that's pretty much the basic difference. And sometimes staging performs better than stable, other times it's the other way around. But most of the time, actually, to be more specific, that's why I use staging renditions of Wine, is that those versions tend to work better than other versions with different kinds of software, especially newer types of software. So bear that in mind. With this, Wine staging has been installed. but we need to have a way of managing all the games we've installed. So we're going to try and install Lutris. Lutris, again, similar thing, adding a repository to get the updates for Lutris. Then you update. Again, you don't have to, but we're gonna do this anyway, I think. And sudo apt install Lutris. This will install Lutris. For those who don't know, Lutris is kind of like your game manager. It basically lets you what is it called? It lets you it asked me for confirmation because we didn't have the -y, but Lutris is kind of like your hub, your space for all the games you've installed on your system. You can get Origin to work through that. You can get GOG to connect and work with this. Epic Games as well. You can get Steam to connect with it. You'll see that you can also use some custom scripts and tools that have been created by talented users and other engineers to install games like Osu or Age of Empires and stuff like that, or even Ubisoft only titles. So that's pretty neat. There's a few things that we need to do. And that's getting, I actually didn't show you Lutris because it did finish in stack. So Lutris shows up like this. It says missing Vulkan libraries. So to get this, it shows you installing graphics drivers. Click here. Under Ubuntu, I don't have this, but it actually shows you what to do to get it running under a Vulkan capable GPU. So you may wanna, if it pops up this message, don't close it. You actually may wanna copy this. I may have installed it on accident before, that's why it didn't show up on my laptop, but good thing it did. So credit goes to the people over at Lutris. Obviously, you click OK to get the runtime started. I'm gonna close it right away as it finishes for checking the runtime updates. It has to do this every single time, by the way. So the first time it takes longer because it has to connect to all the servers and everything, and there it goes. As I mentioned, Lutris, GOG, Epic Games, Origin, and Ubisoft Connect even, but Steam isn't showing up here. That we will fix shortly. So run this to get everything related to Mesa and everything else, to get all the things that we need to install all the tools that are related to Vulkan and drivers and Mesa and stuff like that. So good thing it actually showed up, otherwise I would have not known about this. And it's all about reading the documentation and using the files. Now, bear in mind, you should always read the documentation no matter what software you have. No matter what software you use, no matter what you're developing for. For example, I'm right now working on an Electron application for myself because I've never done anything with Electron, so I'm interested. So I'm looking into the documentation, looking into other people's code and documentation of that code, trying to understand how to work with it. That's why reading documentation is important. So, with all of these, we shouldn't get the message showing up anymore. As you can see, it doesn't show up anymore because it has the Vulkan drivers and Mesa and everything installed. Speaking of which, I should actually get this on there as well on my laptop just in case, but it seems to be working just fine. As I mentioned, in Lutris, if I want to run this again, as you can see, every single time it gets faster and faster. We didn't have Steam here, as you can see. We don't have Steam here, which is arguably the most important platform that you can get. How do you install Steam on Ubuntu? If you remember one of my older videos about gaming on Linux, we went through this. We went through setting up your Steam on Ubuntu, but that's only one small part of it. So you do sudo apt install Steam. If I can type an install, that is. And you install Steam like that. Sudo apt install Steam. Pretty quick, pretty easy, pretty painless. Before we continue with Steam, there's a few things we need to set up before we can start gaming. To make this simpler, normally I would tell you guys to download a certain little thing. Let me open my browser so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. You want to go over here to Gross Agro's repository, and there's new releases. I have to get this now, which is pretty jarring. Fine, I'll download these releases as well. So you basically go here and download these tar.gz files. I'll download these two because I have all the other versions that I need already downloaded, so I'll download these two versions. But basically you would go here, download the versions, and keep them in your downloads folder. We are going to use them later. Which reminds me, I should update this step right here. This lovely step will let us, if it has been updated, it has been, so I'm just gonna do this, and we have 36 and 37, I believe. Yep, 36, 37. So we'll add this in and update it to make it usable for us. 36, 37. We've updated it. I'll explain shortly what all of this does, in case you guys don't know. So, we have just now Steam, I believe, has finished doing its thing, or is it still running that stuff? Or maybe Steam is just launching. But basically, you want to download all these tar.gz files and put them in your downloads, as I did just now. I didn't put every single one in. For some reason, Steam like crashed or something. Not sure what's happening there. I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna try and transfer over. So I have all my ProtonGZ stuff here, but I want to actually transfer over the remaining two here as well. So I'll open up a new window here as well, and in here I'll go in my downloads, and I want to transfer over these two from into here. So I'll transfer these two into here first, using my network's connection speed. So we're using SSH now to well, not SSH, we're using Samba to transfer from my main computer to my laptop, so I can then access it from my laptop, where I have all the gaming stuff set up already. I haven't tried these newer versions yet, so that's pretty cool. That's what happens if you're trying to use newer technologies. Anyways, so in the meantime, so we're gonna wait for this to finish, this one-way transfer first, and then we can start copying all the other files over. The reason why this is important is this will let us have multiple versions of ProtonGE, which are custom versions of Proton. So what Proton is something we went over about a year or so ago, maybe even 2 years ago on my channel, where it's a compatibility tool made by Steam or Valve, to be more specific and accurate, which lets us, the end users, to run Windows games from Steam on the Linux. And it's really cool, especially these custom versions, which are created by Glorious Agro. Glorious Agro is a developer engineer. Who is he? I'm not really sure. We can actually open this up. I closed it like an idiot. Yeah, these are developed by Glorious Agro, which is a maintenance engineer of wine staging, maintainer, and ticker and stuff at Red Hat. This guy, he's like crazy good at what he does. So he has ProtonGE Custom and stuff like that. Where we were was ProtonGE Custom. ProtonGE Custom is a custom version or custom compatibility tool for Steam Play based on Wine and additional components. Basically, Glorious Agro is putting in extra work, patches and stuff to make it really amazing. There are 200 people watching and working on this, but it's a bunch of commits ahead and a bunch of commits behind in certain places in terms of Valve Proton. Proton is a technology made by Valve, so it makes sense that they would be making a fork out of it. So copying it from here to here is done. We'll deselect these two because we already have them, and we will transfer over these two here, or these remaining ones here, into our downloads. This will make sense shortly, because we need all these versions of Proton, because certain games, as I said, work better with different versions of Proton. Maybe it's better if we launch Steam. Okay, Steam didn't launch for some reason. So launch Steam. If it didn't launch Steam in the meantime. And we're gonna set up Steam in the meantime before we set up anything else. So we need to set up a custom directory in our home. This is a custom directory that isn't available in the regular Steam installation, which is called compatibilitytools.d. You want to make this directory into which we're going to extract every single tarball that we're downloading right now. So you want to run this. This will create a directory, and if we list out, this looks pretty. I didn't know that they changed this. Oh crap, okay, cool. I didn't know that they changed this. This looks really cool. Oops, I cannot type apparently. So if we list the shop, oh, never mind. Just do ls. You'll notice that we've created a new folder here called compatibilitytools.d. And if we reference that, if we go into the folder, it's right now empty. That's the thing you need to remember. It's empty right now. So in the meantime, I'm gonna log into Steam. It looks really nice. I like this. I like this new look. So that's my account. You can add me if you want to. I don't really mind. It's up to you guys to decide if you want to or not. But I wanted to get it like running and set up here first before we do anything. Now, there's a few things before we actually continue. Before it finishes actually moving stuff. It's all detailed in here. So once you go over here, I'm gonna go to Steam settings and go Steam Play, and you wanna enable Steam Play for all titles. Go to pre-caching. Don't allow background processing of Vulkan shaders. Don't enable this. Leave it as it is. Controllers, I would recommend you disable these common like notifications. You don't really need those. I don't play with controllers that much, so I don't need this. Maybe you will need this, so make sure that you have those enabled, maybe. I don't care, really. Remote play, my laptop has access to it, but I'm not gonna give it access at all. And I'm gonna disable direct connection via IP here, actually, so I don't really care about that. Broadcasting, I'll disable it. It's not really necessary. Music, we're not gonna do anything. So it has all these like the things for the music libraries. You don't need these, so just get rid of these. Steam Cloud, make sure that's enabled and supports it. Allow downloading, don't throttle. Change the download, keep the download region and change it. It's up to you. It will pick the nearest server. So this might be better to keep on where you live. So for me, I live in the Czech Republic, so I need to enable it on the Czech Republic. In terms of library, take the low bandwidth mode and low performance modes and keep it automatic. This will help you out later. In here, don't enable GPU, hardware video encoding, keep smooth scrolling, keep this. You can start Steam when your computer starts. I'm not gonna take it, even though it's my main computer I use for gaming mostly and sometimes software development. Because I have different skins here. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Please go home. There we go. Change from store to library. This is a major time saver. In game, you can enable the FPS counter if you want to. I'm not gonna do that right now. We'll have our own later. Family sharing, don't really need that, and Steam Guide and stuff. That's pretty much it. In terms of setting up everything. So there's one more thing I didn't mention. Steam Play we didn't set up yet because we're still transferring over the files. If a previous version didn't work, you can use other versions. If you don't know, you can actually look up a special repository called ProtonDB. And if you're about to do gaming on Linux, you can actually look up games or titles. So you can explore, you can see Payday 2 is native, Counter-Strike native, Predator Battlegrounds. It's worked, but it's using BattleNet, that's why it doesn't work. GTA 5 kind of works, but I'll show you that it works perfectly. Deep Rock Galactic works just fine. Dota, it's native. So when it's a native game, it actually works. Cyberpunk, been playing that under Linux recently, works really fine. And we finished Transfix. So look up ProtonDB, a really nice source. You can even look up the games you want to play and just look at what has to be done. For example, GTA 5 here, they tell you what they used. If it has this logo, it's a Steam Deck title. It actually says it up here. You want to go down below the Steam Deck people, go to PC, and this is where it shows everything else. So you want to look into this, see what they did to make this work. It's up to you what you want to do with this. You can look up your games here, but all the Proton versions we need are downloaded over here. We don't need these for now. So we've transferred over Proton GE into our downloads directory. If we do ls downloads, you'll notice all the Proton GE tarbles here. If you do a du on this, actually with -h, you can type, you'll see it currently has around 3.2 gigs. So we have currently 3.2 gigs of compatibility tools in here. But that's not enough. We need to extract them to a folder that we've created. Remember how we created the compatibility tools.d folder? This folder right here? Yeah, we need to extract those to make those work. So we want to copy all of these. Again, we'll be using just version 3. This cache has been transferred. That's cool. I'll explain that later what that is. Control Shift V to paste. And this will extract it. So here's what I want to do. I want to show you something real cool right now. I'm gonna do something really interesting here. Watch -n 1 du -h this and every, well, not every single directory in it, and then we'll say -- max depth equals I don't know, 1 or 0. Let's do 0. So right now this folder, what I did there, will give us a readout like this. If I change the max depth to 1, you'll notice it's getting filled up with folders once I run this command. So what I want you to do is pay attention to this thing right here. Remember, we've created this folder with the, where is it? Make dir -p steam compatibility tools blah blah. This command right here created the folder in that directory. And now we're gonna unzip all of these. Basically, we're unzipping an archive into a directory specifically. If I run this, watch over here. It's piling up in size. That means it's extracting the versions, and we're done. So in total, our compatibilities folder takes up 8.6 gigs. That's 9 gigs of compatibility tools instead of like 40 something gigs on my laptop right now. I really need to clean this shit up, my laptop, but that's pretty much it. We're done like decompressing it, 1.1 gigs per each. From version 3 to 3.7. Once version 4 starts coming out, I'll start adding a version 4, and once I hit version 45, so 745, I will start removing the older ones or keep them. It's better to keep them so you don't break your games. Launch your Steam instance. So open up Steam, launch up Steam, and there it is. So Steam has been launched. Go over here to, close this. We don't want to see this promotional stuff. Let me disable that. Where is it? I don't want it to show the, there it is, the notify me stuff. As you can see, some of the things haven't been disabled. Right, what else? Cloud, that's that. You don't really need this. Broadcasting, disabled that previously. We can keep this on, we don't really mind. Enable the shader pre-caching. This is actually pretty fun. So there's a thing we need to do later on in Steam before we start doing anything. But here is the fun part. So first go to settings, so Steam settings, and then go down here to Steam Play, enable Steam Play for all titles, and pick the latest version of Proton GE you have, which in my case is 37. Click OK, and it will ask you to restart. And one really interesting thing that will happen is all the games that you didn't have available before will now be available to be installed. You will notice that my recent games thing has updated. Go over here, you'll notice this. So if you are unsure which tool is using, or which game is using which thing, click this information thing and look down here via Steam Play using 737. So you can check which version has been enabled globally. There's a game. I wanted to try a fairly small one that I know works. Let's just get Bioshock. Bioshock is a smaller title. I wanted to install that earlier anyway. So if you go to properties, you'll notice this thing. I would recommend that you force a specific version that you know works. For me, 737 will be a testing thing. I know 735 works, but let's try 737 first. And before we do anything, we need to, well, install the game itself for one, because there's a thing we need to do. So open up your file manager and go to your home directory, which is what you want here. You want to enable hidden files. Press Ctrl H to do that. In here, find Steam. Then find Steam again. And in here, you want to find Steam Apps. Under Steam, I think it's Steam Apps. Let me check my notes so I don't mislead you guys. It's common? No. It must be Steam Apps. Yeah, that's because I didn't install anything. So Steam Apps. You'll see only these few photos if you haven't installed anything. Why is that important? Well, we click install the game. Don't create desktop icon. It will clutter up your desktop. Agree and let it install. So this will prepare all the files for installation. We can enable this in the background here for now. This will start downloading of all other files and things, and you'll notice that we now have this thing right here. So there's a reason for why I picked this version of, or this game in particular. I don't want to wait too long for the games to download, so I can show you something. Because my internet speed is pretty good, so it shouldn't take that long. But our main folder of interest, there will be two folders. One that will be generated after we launch a game for the first time. So make sure it's a game that you know runs only on Windows and uses some kind of DirectX thing, that either being DirectX itself or OpenGL or Vulkan even. So even Doom, if you have that, or if you keep your games on a different drive. I don't. I just used one drive in my system. As I mentioned, I clean wiped it today. So we're gonna do that right now, and this video might be a bit longer, but it's a deep dive into setting up my machine for gaming, which is what we want to see on the system. So yeah, maybe when I look into that as well. Maybe. It's already 11 p.m. So it's it takes a bit of time, but you have downloading, shader cache, and other things. As soon as we try and launch the game, it will actually like work, but not the way we want it to. So we want to launch it, but that's like it. We don't want it to. We want to launch it for the first time. My ear is kind of itchy. Don't know why that is. We want to actually get like a pretty basic setup going. So if you have a NVIDIA GPU, and when I install the NVIDIA stuff, if you have an AMD GPU, install the AMD stuff, as I showed you with Mesa and stuff, it gets quite complex depending on what GPU you have. So remember that, and we're verifying the remaining downloading and stuff, which is okay. It has to do those things, so bear that in mind. And there it is, the game has been downloaded. So go to your library, go to the game. You'll notice the play button is right here. In fact, if I were to click this, it will work. It will prepare to launch. It will get itself ready to launch. And you'll notice it takes some time ahead before launching. Why is that? It doesn't show it right here, but it has to get a few files, and there it goes. It says Steam has finished downloading, but what has it finished? compat data. So you technically don't need to launch the game right now. In fact, I could launch it and it will, like, what does it say? Skip. No. Now we're processing Vulkan shaders and it should launch on its own. Which it, as you can see, it's trying to do, and it should be working. In fact, it is actually working right away. That's pretty cool. But it's not running optimally, and it won't be for a little while. So we want to pre-build some of the cache and get the game to be run for a little while. But as you can hear, sound works just fine, and it's a Windows-only game, and it just crashed. Don't know why that is, but I know we can get it running. So I only wanted to launch this once originally, which is the important bit. So now we want to exit out of Steam again. This is where the fun part begins. So we have our shader cache and our compat data. These two are important. So first thing I'm going to do is create a directory and a few subdirectories by using these commands right here. You want to change it from the home and username stuff. So change your username. For me, it's biguinto47. I'm going to keep that. But you want to create a directory called shader cache. And inside of shader cache directory, you want to create two more. That being Mesa shader cache and Geo shader disk cache. Run this and you should have 3 more folders in your home directory. Now let me open up a new tab here and just go show you. So you should have a shader cache directory. You have these 2 folders in there. Now here comes the fun part. We need to move our compat data and shader cache. To do this, simply hold this. So you wanna like select compat data and shader cache from the Steam directory. And before you release it, hold the Alt key or left Alt. You can release it and click move here. That's where we had to stop Steam. Now you would want to wait for a couple seconds. Maybe refresh the folder a couple times, but that's it. Now select the shader cache compat data again, and while you're dragging it, hold Alt again. You'll see the plus sign change to a question mark. Release the mouse button, release Alt, and link here. That's it. That is it. That's what you do. Same goes for the compat data and cache folders. This is what you need. The shader cache folder and compat data folder moved over here. The reason why you want this here is I will show you a really cool directory thing that I can do with the terminal. So I'll open up another terminal. You remember the watch command I showed you with the thing here? So we can do this with the shader cache now too. Like this. And I think it was 0 or something. It wasn't 0. What was it? I think it was 2. No, it wasn't 2. It was 1. There we go. So this thing right here, I'd like to add a reference to it on another thing. So what I'm gonna do is pick a window capture. Let's call it shaders, and I want the shader cache terminal window. What's important is for you guys to be able to see everything. Well, so make sure to look at how the cache is building here and the size as we play the game, as we do some more adjustments. So the other adjustment that we just did, so we just moved and relinked all our shader cache stuff. We can close this for now. We're not gonna need this. What we're gonna need now is we're gonna have to open up Steam again. So to do this, we wanna select apps and you wanna open up Steam if you have it. Open up Steam, making sure that the other window doesn't close. And there we go. It's accessing it. It's rebuilding the shader cache in size. You're gonna notice it's gonna grow in size or reduce in size depending on the app, and that's gonna be happening a lot. So before we launch the game, there's a few more things we need to do, and this will be done for every single game when I launch. We did set the compatibility tool to Proton GE737 right now, but that's not enough. We need to add launch options to make it run faster. For this is where these lovely things come in, but don't worry, we will set them up differently. I have a set command list here. You guys can just copy and use. It's not a complete one by any means or any things necessary, but it's not gonna work well just yet. To make it work really well with this setup, you're gonna have to have a few more things set up before you can do anything. So add those launch options in, keep them as they are. We need to do a few more things. To make these work, we need to install a few more things. If I can find it in my notes. There it is. We need to install Mango HUD NG overlay. So we've reinstalled them using the normal way now. So instead of using all of this bull crap, which these two files you will need, but not anything else. Come to think of it, I didn't really try getting G-Overlay and Mango HUD to run under Ubuntu before, so maybe there's some more hoops to jump through. Okay, we're now processing Vulkan shaders again. Bioshock shows up normally again. So it turns out that those were the two things. We can have a look at our shaders. They should be updating any second now. But as we play the game, that's pretty much all that really matters. Oh, what the? Okay. For some reason it went with this window thing. And it crashes when it comes to loading the thing. Okay. I guess we can work with this. So there was a thing here with like Lutris. It's like drivers. Thank you. Under AMD and Intel. And apparently you have to run this command, which we do have, but you know. Reboot to apply the changes. So we have to reboot. Oh balls, okay. So this is like drivers, so drivers. Make sure to reboot after. And we'll just put these in. And I really hoped I could just do this in one recording. It's already getting quite long than it did before. But you know, let's try and install them again anyways. Into the terminal. There you go. Bam, bada boom. And should install everything else, and we should just reboot apparently. So that's apparently it. So what I'm gonna do, when it comes to Mango HUD overlay, I'll have to look into it. So say look into it. And we'll look into that later. And we already added the launch options and everything, made everything, moved everything, and set up the shader cache stuff. That's origin. Can ignore that. That's origin. It's a script. So that's technically the last part of the game stuff. So I'm gonna I'm gonna quickly and swiftly save the file, please. I'm gonna quickly and swiftly reboot my desktop here. All right, and one short reboot later, I'm gonna bring up a terminal window, which will have the data cache thing. I remembered it from last time. 'Cause this will be important later on. I will resize it so you guys can just see the size and thing. And now we're gonna add it as a window capture thing because under Pipewire it works somehow differently. And we'll click OK, and you can see that, and I will add it in here in such a way that I can move my head above it and be used again. And I'll just, just move this a bit. Maybe add a cropping filter. So it's on my other monitor now. Let's bring up Steam. As you can tell, I already have set up the CPU to run at maximum speed. We've already had quite a decent runtime for trying to set this stuff up. So maybe all that hassle that we went through previously, again, I'll just show you running at full speed again. Maybe all that hassle we went through previously wasn't really that necessary, and we could have just done it without it. So if we go into properties here again, you'll see we have every single launch option we had before. It's quite a few, but it's important for us to get the games running, I think. And we didn't have the drivers installed, and I totally misread, so make sure to read the documentation, people. Even I, as a developer, have missed it, and I didn't read it. So, or didn't read it properly per se, that it said that you need to reboot. So, after a reboot and having everything set up again, maybe G-overlay will launch? I don't think it will. It doesn't really matter if it will or will not launch. It's not really necessary. All that matters is the game will launch, so screw that. Let's see if the game will run this time around. With the drivers hopefully installed. It doesn't run now? Okay. Sure. Let's see what we can do. Okay, that's interesting. This is really starting to freak me out. Maybe Mango Hut is not meant for running just now. So maybe if we get rid of Mango Hut, maybe it will work. So this is like the troubleshooting stuff you have to go through, and it doesn't work anymore. Do I have to honestly uninstall and reinstall the game again until I get a configuration that like works with this magically? I don't know. So maybe it's just the game not being compatible? Okay, maybe 737 is not the version, so maybe 735? It's the versioning thing? Okay, repository configures again. It did change there. I don't think it will work though. I think it will just crash again because it's like it's really weird. I'm sorry. I have a feeling it will crash again. Okay. So the intro sequence is launch. That's a start. I could have lowered the volume down. I don't think it's gonna work. I think it's going to crash. Yeah, it crashed again. Okay. So... Okay, maybe Bioshock is one of those games that just doesn't want to work. Let's try Distance. I don't think Distance is a game that's available under... Oh, it's available under Linux. Okay. I need a game that ain't available. A game similar in size, if possible. Multiple times. Because that's the thing with Linux. Sometimes things work, sometimes things don't. And we're now downloading 2 more titles. So let's go to their properties, go to their launch options, add those launch options to those titles. Go back. Let's keep this on. Even mango head and stuff on. Maybe it will work right off the gate, and we don't really have to do anything at all. I don't really know, but these should help us squeeze out a bit more performance out of it. And that's the thing. You don't really know if the games are gonna work or not unless you try. Speaking of which, let's go to downloads here, and yep, we have disabled throttling when that's going on. Great. From looking at the compat data and cache and everything, shader cache is not that big. It's actually, that might have been it. That might have been what actually caused us to fail. So we'll disable the shader cache. The shader cache thing has now been, or is now being cleared, I think. Because I saw it go down in size now. And I think if we go back into settings and re-enable it, let's go back into settings and re-enable that and enable background processing of those shaders. We should have a lot more of these now available. So it's back up to 13 megs. Let's try it. Some reason the UI tends to lock up. I don't know why, but it tends to lock up. Let's try getting this down now. Okay, our shader cache is getting bigger now. That's interesting. I wonder what will happen if we just re-download the shader cache as well here. So I'll just uninstall the game. And we'll wait for Morrowind to finish. And my internet speed is going crazy right now. What is happening? And there it goes. Morrowind is installed. I'm willing to give this another shot. I'm willing to do this now again. So we'll download certain things again, and in the meantime, while that's downloading, again, we're gonna go into settings. We've enabled this, we're gonna keep this enabled. Maybe there's a few things I didn't do previously that caused it to crash. Allow downloads during gameplay. Alright, so let's try Flatout 2. Flatout 2 is I believe, safe bet, I think. It shows up, it sees my GPU. Let's max it out, baby. 60 aspect ratio, 16:9, 100 3D primary sound, 44 kilohertz, 1080p. Sure. That's. So if Flatout 2 works, then that means that it started. So yeah, as I said, I don't want to get copy struck, so I need to go here. Alright. So, that's cool. So, Flatout 2 works. It's a order game. I didn't want to wait for anything. I'm just gonna go for a quick race here, throughout the forest. Pick a map. For example, this one is pretty iconic. And let's pick a car. The insert seems to be fine. So yeah, it works now. The game runs. Well, the frame rate looks okay, and the game stuff as well. But the game runs, and our shader cache is actually being built as we speak, I think. I'm trying to drive and look at the other monitor and stuff. Yeah, our shader cache is definitely being built. You can see the file size is increasing. There was a little lag in the beginning, but our shader cache is definitely increasing in size. So, Flatout 2 works. What if I exit like an idiot? Will it work? It does work, even though I exited it like an idiot. So, Flatout 2 works. Let's try Morrowind. Okay, it shows up. Options, full screen, 14 frame by 1080. Sure. It sees the graphics card, so yeah. Okay, this just launches, I guess. Can we? I don't think I have a save file. Oh, I do have a save file. Okay, Morrowind just works out of the box. Wait,
Speak quickly, Outlander, or go away.
So this works. This works. This stuff works now. Okay. So maybe clearing out the shader cache was the way to go. Now granted, will it work for Bioshock? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it will. Maybe Bioshock is just a picky game, and it turns out to be a picky game, so let's browse local files. There's nothing in here. So maybe let's go here. Go to shader cache. This is what is this? What game is this? So if you are not sure which game it is, you wanna go to store page, copy copy the page URL, open a new text file. 7670 is the code you want. And remove every single thing that's here from the cache. Empty it. And relaunch it. And let's see. Doesn't work. Cool. So, in case it didn't work, let's try Proton Experimental. And in case that doesn't work, there's different versions we can try. That's why we downloaded so many of them. But one thing that I cannot seem to wrap my head around is why this game of all the games, why Bioshock decides to not work, even though we saw Flathead 2 work and other games as well work just fine. With 745 attempts to open, but it crashes. So what other games can we get? This is 12 gigs. Do I have enough time to install this? You know what? Why not? Let's try getting Borderlands 2. I think that's a native Linux title, actually. Hold on. That's a native Linux title. That's cheating. I need a Windows title. Oh, okay. Balloons Tower Defense. That's actually a pretty good one. It doesn't take up much space, but it can be downloaded pretty quickly, I think. But we did see that other games did launch. What about you? You're 3 gigs only. Okay, cool. Let's get you on here as well. Just to show the people that gaming under Linux is indeed possible. When I'm here, I'm gonna lower down the volume of my desktop. I don't know if it's me recording it, if it's causing issues whenever I do things with it. I should also be able to get holy crap, that's quick today. I should be able to get GTA 4 installed and show you that it's working, and I'd like to end on that as a high note, if possible. I'll then have to put this together, render this out, and show you the struggles that I'm going through, because it's not simple, and I like to make more long-form content like this, obviously. And there it goes, 30 megs per second. I am wondering what happens that it prompted them to give me this much speed all of a sudden. If there is a reason for it, I'd like to know it, because damn, that's quickly. Like, it's going up in speed as well. It's not going to slow down anytime soon. So, GTA 4, another favorite of mine. We will disable SteamVR stuff, but we will add you the launch options, because you seem to work on the way. So, let's do that. We've added the launch options. And we will try 737 first on you as well. So the game is being downloaded. We've just downloaded Balanced Hammer Defense. It's using Proton GE737. Let's go to properties, then add launch options. Let's add the launch options in here as well. Let's give it a shot. What that confirms to me is that and it just works, it launches, it's not a native Linux title. So what this confirms to me, you can actually see that the sizes have been increasing, I believe. This didn't show you this, so it went from 2.8 gigs to 3.1 in total size. So the shader caching stuff is working, believe it or not. Okay, take it back. Can I exit the tutorial? I don't want it. I don't want the tutorial. Okay. Can I... There's another one. Oh god, I'm gonna have to do this tutorial. I mean, you guys can see it, that it's running. I don't have to show anymore. Let's go into settings and auto start. Shut up. So, that's working. Not sure why Bioshock wasn't. Maybe it's just a hasty fit of the game itself. Or experience, you can do upgrades for them. Let's unlock one, go back. And yeah. I don't care. Don't force me to do stuff. Yeah, but it's working, so I don't need to play any more of this. It is working. I quit the game. Oh, okay. It quit itself now. Cool. GTA 4 is downloading it in like an insane speed right now. So from all the games we've tested, all of these, aside from Bioshock, have been working. I'm not sure what's up with Bioshock. The one game I wanted to try doesn't work. So let's see if it's already midnight. I wanted to get this done under midnight. We could wait for a couple minutes before anything else gets done. So in the meantime, we did download distance, so let's give that a shot. So I really wanted this to work because Ubuntu is a solid base for a desktop. Alright. Let's see, Shadow. I don't remember how to play this. I really need to revise this shit. But, yeah. I mean, the game runs. Who cares? I don't remember the controls right now, but the game runs. That's all that matters, really. That's what I was after originally. Does the game run? It does. Pretty well, mind you. I think this is a native Linux title, though. Could be wrong. Maybe this is a native Linux title. I didn't notice. Yeah, it's a native Linux title. Well, that's cool. Cyberpunk requires some more tinkering, but can be gotten running by using these tools here. And a few extra commands at the end to skip the launcher, and that's it really. Wait, did it really not get the thing that I asked it to get? Let's give GT4 a shot. This one is a special case. It actually requires a lot of stuff to be installed as prerequisites. to everything else. So you just have to wait for everything. The Rockstar Games Club launcher does actually install, funnily enough, and properly as well. So that means that you guys should be able to get all the other GTA games to run just fine. For example, GTA 5, that should work. So installing everything else before we can continue with the other stuff. So we're gonna work on not. Okay, let's see. Word launch. This is 737 Proton, so Proton GE. So let's see. My brain is slowly running away. Looking at this screen for this long. Waiting for stuff to happen. But that's normal in this setting because we're trying to run games under Linux. Show you guys that gaming is definitely possible as well. And a majority of this time has been spent playing and trying to get these games to run. And that's the main thing that I'm after in these setups, yeah. Trying to see if you can do it easily, quickly, without any hassle. I should have installed the drivers beforehand. I should have read properly, but yeah, that's the sort of things you learn later down the line. So GTA 4 takes quite a bit of time to launch, and that's not good. Imagine GTA 5, bro. That must be devastating. So I'm looking at all the caches and stuff. I haven't really paid much attention, but it is definitely bigger than it was before. And I don't know if it's the shader cache itself, or the Mesa Joe shader cache, or the DXVK state cache, or whatever, but it is getting larger and larger. That's pretty cool, I guess. But I don't know if the games are gonna run, which has been a major like thing. Sometimes it just takes time. Sometimes it will work right away. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes the game just doesn't wanna do it, and nobody knows why. Okay, so GT4 doesn't want to start. So all of a sudden, so we killed it, and we're gonna relaunch it again. Maybe there was something that prevented it from launching, something that prevented it from working. I have a feeling that Mango HUD is also messing this up again. Let's exit the game out and let's try 737. 735 I remember working because I have that on my laptop. But maybe it might be worth considering like switching versions. And I also bring out the terminal that we need to have brought up as well for it to work. For some reason, GT4 doesn't want to listen to me anymore. So maybe it's this thing in the beginning. Maybe I have to get rid of this. Or maybe switch versions even. Let's try both of those. Maybe both of these will do it and will get us to launch the game. One or both of these will do it at some point. I don't know which one though, so let's see. Maybe this will work. Balls, that's another hour gone, pretty much. Okay, I'm getting quite sad now that like GTA 4 is taking this long to do stuff now. Okay, let's stop it. Maybe it needs a bit more loading power. So I stopped all the downloads and everything. And all the disk activity as well, apparently. So I'll check it now without any other disk activity apart from us trying to launch the game. From what I can see from CPU statistics, like CPU usage and stuff, it is doing something. I'm not sure what exactly, but it's doing something. Sorry about that. I will try till like 1 a.m. and I'm just gonna like turn it off, go to bed, and then we will try this again later at some point. Maybe it just needs a bit of a reboot. Maybe log in, log out. Maybe there's something else that we need to do. Apparently Mango HUD is not enough. Game mode, let's do game mode, the chess. It's active, so I don't really understand what the issue is. It was working quite well. Maybe if I kill the games and stop recording and try launching them again, they will work. Let me do that real quick. Right, so we are back. I stopped the recording because some interesting developments have happened. The game now works. So it turns out that the thing that I did, I'm not gonna try to push my luck too far. I'm just gonna keep it as this. Sure. Let's turn window mode on. Oh, okay. So the game runs now. I don't have a save file here. Let's try medium. The game runs now. You can see the resource use and everything on the right side above me, along with the shader locations that are being built. I bet it's growing larger with every second. And it is. So the games just don't like being recorded, apparently. So I think I understand.
They told me.
Why they...
Son, you're special.
Come on,
you were born to do
skip
great things.
it.
You know what? They were right.
Oh, come on, skip it. Oh, it is running now, so some games just don't like being recorded, I guess. It is annoying that it's happening this way, but, I mean, it could be worse. I mean, the game's running alright. Sure, Mango HUD and that stuff doesn't work, but that's stuff we could explore later on. Alright, so we're in game, I guess. As you can see, our Mesa shader cache is being built as well, and that should aid in our performance metrics. You can see we can bring it up here. So let's bring up at least some performance counter on the top right. So you guys can see everything. And we're running at 60 FPS. Pretty decently set settings. Not sure how the GPU is doing. I don't have any GPU monitoring software up. But the game runs at pretty decent settings. It turns out... let me quickly set down the volume quality here. Let me just go back into the game. There we go. It turns out that the game runs just fine. On this system, it runs. It's just it doesn't like being recorded, I guess. But we saw other games launch, other games work. So I guess just make sure to turn off the recordings of all the games. What's up with this now? And there we go. The game just exited, and that's working. So, what other game didn't we try? We didn't try launching GT4 again. So let's see. Let's see if GT4 and the Adventures of Nico Bellic will get us anywhere. And now it starts. So just restart the recording next time before we do anything. We'll just get a camera instead. That's quite dumb. I swear to God, if it runs now, I will scream. Okay, not really, but you get the idea. Nope. Enable cloud saves. I use only cloud saves for this anyway, so we can see our shader cache is getting quite well built now. Couple gigs, and that's not even exploring the possibilities of us running Forza on this. It just launches right now, like it just goes. It doesn't care. It just goes. And we are in game, running at native 60 FPS. Now granted, I don't know how the recording's doing, but looking back and forth, it seems to be working just fine. Maybe some games don't like being recorded, so maybe that's also why. Oh shit. And we can quit the game now. Sure, quit the game. So we managed to get every single game to work. Every single one. So I'm going to agree to download and install a few more games. Let them download. I'll go to bed in the meantime. And we will try these tomorrow. I guess I can get also GT5 installed while we're here. This will take some time to download as well. So let's get that shot as well. And it should be all pretty lovely now since GT4 is working as well. We can copy these. I guess these are the same ones. If I was interested, this is mainly my gaming machine, so I will be using this for gaming mainly. But I do have some files I have to transfer over overnight. So I'm thinking of doing that as well and utilizing my network's download speeds to achieve that. So yeah, I will connect to my like share and copy stuff from it later on. Yeah, but in the meantime, just I will try those games later. They should work now. I think they should, because I remember playing them before with the exact same things here. So what I'm thinking is it possible? Oh, I didn't showcase one more thing actually before I leave. So we did install this lovely thing called Lutris, and we did set it up, but we didn't do one thing. So preferences, global options, and we should have a that's interesting. I did move my Lutris cache here, but I didn't move everything. So here, up here somewhere, I have all of this stuff here. Doesn't show up. You need to add it. So click this plus sign up here. Search website. Type in, for example, Osu, the game I want to try and install. I'll scroll down. So I'll find Osu normally. Osu windows here. Comes with this window up here. We don't want the laser one. We want the wine stable one. Wine stable. Install that. You'll see this thing. Go to cache. And I transferred over my cache. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select Lutris cache. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna check that the cache has been selected up here. See? I'm gonna click install, and watch how quickly it's gonna install the game. Now, granted, it has to download certain files. So before I continue downloading of these bigger titles, actually, let me just there's no, I don't know what this says. There we go. Some patch. I'll pause every single thing here right now. Where's the twist? Balls. Okay. It downloaded. It says use cache. We'll use the cache. It will download it normally. I just want to use the cache. You want to install every single thing you can. This isn't sped up, by the way. It's me just utilizing all the tricks in the book that I have. I want to install every single runtime here. And this is just an example of a game, how to get certain games installed under like Linux. So if it's a game that's not here, you can use Lutris. So if it's a game that's outside of Steam, use Lutris to install the game. Look into the scripts, look into the files, look into everything else. But this should let us be set up to install everything that we need. And then we're actually installing the game. It will try and launch the game. We don't want to do anything with the game right now. And there it goes. We'll let it download everything.
Click the circles. To the beat.
We'll let it extract everything. And we will exit right now because we're not gonna need that. And we will change the report version to Windows 10. It does that automatically for us. And that's the game done. And pretty much if you go back and forth or go to games in general, you'll see this. Now, as I said, I have access to my well, other like folder. So we're gonna log in. I'll just remember it forever. Okay. And let's get the games directory, and from here we'll grab the OC folder. Go here, find the games directory, paste it in. And it's like 30 gigs of stuff that we're transferring right now. You guys cannot see it because I'm an idiot, but there you go. That is 30 gigs of software, well, not software, mostly just files, but it's either 30 or it's like 15 or 20 something gigs. Not really sure which one, but we will be using our network storage to copy the data over, and we will do the same thing for League of Legends in the meantime. I don't play League of Legends, but sometimes I like to turn on some TFT and shit like this happens. So we're gonna do this, and we're gonna merge everything. We're gonna do this, we're gonna replace everything, merge and replace every single fucking folder that's there. And in the meantime, before everything else happens, this will take like an hour. Jesus Christ. I guess I'll just have to keep it running overnight then. I'm going to set up the environments. Well, before we set any of the launch options, I'm going to show you installing of another game, actually. So go here, again, plus sign, search for a game. So League of Legends. League of Legends. There it is. Pick standard. Don't be iffy. You'll see here standard. You wanna click install. You'll see games, League of Legends. And to prove to you that we are not making this shit up, go here. Go here. Go here. That was League of Legends, so that's not the one. So yeah, apparently we can scan folders, which is pretty cool. I did not know that. I did not know that. I didn't know you could scan folders like that to import games. Well, this will take a couple hours. Jesus Christ. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna also start downloads of other games in the background, I guess, while I'm waiting for everything else to finish. Jesus Christ. Um, so, yeah. Um, in the meantime, this should, yeah, all the other games should be done by now as well. Let me just put it over here like that, and there we go. Alright, so with that, I think it's about time for me to end this. I think I'm gonna edit this in the morning, or maybe come back in the morning and continue this saga. Gonna go to bed, and we'll try running a few more games, and then I think I'll end it. So I'm gonna go to bed. I will go to bed right now. I'll go get some sleep, and hopefully in the morning I remember to do this, so that I can then splice and put everything together finally, hopefully. So yeah. Alright, and we are back at it again. This time a few hours after some time. I wrote down some notes before I actually went off today in the morning. I have made some notes. I remember what to continue, what to do next. I can see that the transfer is finished of the games and everything. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna select a folder called games. And you can import games from the folder. So if I click OK, no match found for League of Legends, but installed games as OSU. For some reason, no match found for League of Legends. So instead of doing or dealing with that, we'll look how it's titled. I believe it's installing with like League of Legends. Yep. And it's grabbing that based off the title thing. Yes. So we just rename the folder. And let's import it. Let's do scan. Games. Click OK. Okay, scan is taking a little longer. And so if we refresh this, there it is, League of Legends. Okay, so just renaming it worked. Okay, cool. So you can import it, you just have to know the key for it. So technically, if I were to click play, technically speaking, I don't think I have the right tools or things yet. Maybe I'll have to look into that, maybe get that fixed. Who knows? Maybe it will work right away. But by giving it the right key that matches with the installs database, imports the game, and it, well, does kind of work, but also doesn't. Who knows if it's actually doing anything? Like, I can see on my CPU side that it's doing something. I'm not sure what exactly. I'm also not sure if the shader cache file size has increased since last time. But it's pretty big right now. You can see it above my head right now where my cursor is. So, yeah, I don't think this is gonna start, so we're gonna stop it. we're gonna go and click install. We're gonna search. We're gonna do League of Legends. Yeah, if I can type League of Legends. I cannot type today. It's early in the morning. And we'll pick the standard one. Clicking install. It knows that the game is there. It knows to use the cache already because the cache has been selected. We just click install. And it downloads the Curse Agro Proton version, which we didn't have, and maybe that's why it didn't work. So let's just see what it does. Maybe it will just work right away. We will keep English US, because that seemed to work normally. Now we're recreating the entire prefix. Okay, this is good. So we don't need one manual installer and everything. We'll wait for the rest of it, I think. But this is a good thing. This is good. And, oh, there we go. It shows up now. Alright, let's click install. Play. This should show up, I think. Okay, League of Legends. Alright, cool. It's not like I'm gonna keep playing League of Legends, but the simple fact I was able to get it running this quickly is actually amazing. And the icon actually shows up properly here. That's cool. Alright, and we're locked in. Now stop that. Yeah, I would have to tweak it so it doesn't use stuff, but it is working, so that's cool. I'll just exit. Before I do anything, we actually have to set up the cache properly and stuff. So to set up the cache properly, I actually have it in my notes. We're gonna go here into the games we want, so that would be configure. Under configure, we would go into the system options, remove the pulse latency thing. You're not gonna need that because there's we click the show advanced options thing and we'll click the reduce pulse audio latency, and we'll click the disable desktop effects. We'll keep everything else as is for now. It has the game mode and everything enabled already, which is good. And here are environment variables. Now here is where the fun begins. So I don't know if I can just take this. Nope. So you have to add in one by one, like a normal person. And we need to give it the path for the shader cache. This is why that folder exists for GeoShader disk cache stuff. So all of these have been set up, and that's how I tweaked it. It's not perfect, but this works. So we're disabling desktop effects, we're disabling screensavers, and we're reducing pulse audio latency. And for the Vulkan ICT loader, we're using my Mesa Redvi AMD RV open source, which is my RX 480. We hit save and we'll have to do the same thing over here. So just to make sure that it has been applied with the configure system options, scroll down and here you can see it has all the options set, and we're also disabling desktop effects normally here. So technically some of these options are redundant, yes, but it never hurts to have them set up in case of gaming a bit. But we should see a nice and noticeable increase in performance by utilizing this. Plus I've added it to all my launch options now, from which the only modification I did, because it doesn't work now, is me not having wait, we can save that. So what I want you to pay attention to now is all the other folders and things. So first up, we're gonna launch League of Legends again, And look at the file sizing things. Actually, I don't have them put up, do I? Alright, and it's going up, as you can see. The XVK state cache and everything is going up. So that's pretty cool. I'm not sure that the system monitor is functioning, so let me just bring it up. But the XVK state cache thing and every other cache is being built right now. Even shader cache is being built. Well, that shader cache thing is actually from Steam. But everything's being built and updated. There's the Mesa shader cache also being built. Which, if we look, it is growing a bit in size every single second. Switch to TFT here. So as it's loading things, we can definitely tell that some of these things are getting bigger and bigger. Obviously, in game, it's gonna. Gosh, is that? Okay, I don't know what that is. There's quite a few things in terms of the shader cache and the XVK state cache, but you can use it even on games that don't have it now. I'm still downloading the game. I'm not gonna wait for the game to finish downloading. I'm gonna let it download later on its own. So yeah. So I'm gonna like exit out of here. It's lagging because it's building the shader cache, obviously, but that's fine in my opinion. I'll click stop to kill the app fully, to kill it so it doesn't eat up any more resources. And next we're gonna try and launch Osu again. And now if we look over at the directories, we should start. Yep, it's increasing even with the Mesa shader cache and the XVK state cache. There was a change with the folder. Please verify your identity. So as you can see, we're not doing fairly well, but that's because we're most likely recording. Or maybe it's because of Valent. Can we circumvent it? I'll figure out the mouse issue later. For now, it's not really important. So let me write in my notes to remember to do this. So this isn't true anymore, and this has been done. There we go. So I need to write this down. So find a way to disable forced vsync on Wayland. These are my notes. We didn't test all the games. We also need to update our launch options. So I'll put it over here so I can see it. There we go. So we didn't update our launch options. We have new launch options that we have to use now for our games. To do this, go into our library. We have quite a few games now, so we have to update these somewhat carefully. I didn't realize that my notes were in a separate thing right here. There we go. So my notes are still here. Everything's still here. Pretty much the only things in the DXVK title. Did I add it in? Your threaded optimization, shader disk cache path, DXVK state cache. Yeah, everything's in there. So I was using the state cache in other things, but not here apparently. So that's one game. Use these launch options. This is Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is a bit of a different beast to tame. That's why we have these. Again, same thing. This cache path. Shifter optimization, shifter this cache. Yep, all of these make sense. That's Cyberpunk. There's a couple games that we've installed, as you can see. So with all the launch options, everything set up, it's time to test them, see if the games run magically now. And since we do not need to see the system monitor to be enabled here, so we're gonna hide it. All you need to see is the terminal building up the cache. So I'm gonna close the system monitor on my end here, and let's see if the game's run. So GTA 5 should run because we saw GTA 4 running. So in these games, locked 60 FPS ain't an issue. It's actually preferred, I think. But you know. So let's try and play Cyberpunk. Let's see if Cyberpunk actually works. I don't think it actually saved my launch, well, like my data in terms of save files. So that sucks. And there it is. Oh wait, we actually did jump over the limit. But it is running, which is pretty cool. Now it says 35, but that might be a FPS lock that's integrated into the game. For some reason my cursor is stuck on the screen, on the recording, so just ignore that. See, right here, it's stuck right here. Oh, never mind, here we are jumping way over the... Oh wait, it remembers it! Oh, it's from my manual save, that's right. So it remembers it. Okay, so I don't have to worry about losing my progress. Let's have a look at our settings. So our settings are... let me lower the master volume for now. It's getting a bit loud. So let's look at our graphics. Yeah, it's set. We have the target, we have the minimum, maximum resolution, we have FSR. Maybe we should set the minimum to be lower to like 90. Let's try that. That's a sudden jump in FPS there, which is interesting. We are using FSR with FSR sharpening. Okay, there's one interesting thing I've just noticed. If you look at like the edges of the screen, it tries to track your mouse. We have 80 FOV or 90. Motion blur. Why the fuck is motion blur on? I don't know. Can we run the benchmark without my recording dying? Let's see. I want to see how this runs actually. And if you have a look over at our terminal above me, we're building a ton of shader cache right now. So... oh god. So, the performance. It runs like ass right now. But bear in mind, you're currently building a shader cache. So, I think we're pushing it. But the shader stuff and things are being built. The FPS is actually going higher with each iteration. So you cannot like exit it, which is interesting. You have to let it run. But you can see that the FPS in some cases goes higher and in others it goes lower, but it depends on the scene and everything. There's some reflections going on. We're currently overloading my GPU, most likely, as you can tell. And Mango HUD does actually work now. So, I don't know what changed, but we can see that it's working. So, all the important bits are there. You pretty much need only the FPS, how your CPU and GPU are used. That's all you should have, or all you should need for your gaming. You can tell that the shader cache is being built, because it's growing in size like crazy. So it is doing something. And that's it. So we're back in the main menu. Yeah. It's not good. It's not good. So go into the main menu. There's a few things we can do to make this run a bit faster over here, so we'll try and do those. I'm not gonna give up just yet. So, Come on, let's just wait for it to load. It's interesting that only one of the games is actually limited by frame rate issues, or frame rate cap, because you can see up here on the left, we're definitely hitting over 60. So maybe it's just one game, you know? Let's enable that. Then we'll say performance. I'll say on. And then you cannot have this done. So you have to have this on. Set that to performance. Alright. I think also texture quality high. Let's set that to medium. It's a older. It keeps setting itself to high. Disable film grain, depth of field, and lens flash. Oh wow, what the? Yo, everything's set to high, holy shit. Okay, let's lower these down. Times 4 or 1, let's set to 1. Everything's set to high. Maybe that's why it was chugging. Low detail, I'll set everything to medium or low. Mirror occlusion, I don't really need that. Let's turn this off. We're not gonna turn on ray tracing, I'm not that crazy. Let's see here. Yeah, we can have that. Shadow quality medium, volumetric fog, distance shadow resolution is low. Alright, so we should be able to handle this now. And this lets us be set down to that, I think. Well, some of these options did go down to medium, some of these didn't, so... Oh well. Let's rerun the benchmark, and let's see what we end up with. Maybe we will end up with a playable experience now. I'm not gonna say anything, or jinx it, so I wanna see how it goes. So let's see. Let's see how the game runs now. There we go, that's more like it. We are still hitting like caps, but we're hitting almost 60. Almost 60. There's still a few settings we may want to improve. In the recording, it may seem a bit choppy, but trust me on this, it is running fairly well. We didn't say it to high performance, we just said to performance. We're hitting also 100 FPS now. So, and our cache is growing in size as we do this. So as we keep running these tests over and over and over again, we're actually building up our cache, letting it to be built up to the point where the performance will even surpass the native Windows performance. So it is working. I can see the FPS. That's more than playable for me, since I play Cyberpunk as a single player game, because it is a single player game and it's amazing. If you haven't played it yet, pick it up, play it, it's amazing. I freaking love this game. And there it is. We managed to fix our performance issues. Runs pretty nicely. I'm gonna say that. Yeah, jump back into the main menu, please. So, that's Cyberpunk. It works. So tweaking some settings. It runs really nicely under Linux, under Ubuntu. So, come on, just show up, please. Yeah, I'm gonna have to exit the game normally. And I'm actually happy that my save file actually got moved over, so... Let's quit the game. And that's Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk actually works under Linux flawlessly, pretty much. So, another game we're gonna try out next is Forza Horizon 5. Forza Horizon 5. Here's something I need to mention right away. There is a thing I'm gonna have to do later anyway, so I am going to log into my Firefox account right now. We're gonna launch Forza now. So if you click play Forza Horizon 5, we did adjust all the launch options for every single game. And you know it's working because we're building up shader cache. Look, it's building up right now. So it's doing something, obviously. And let's see if the game runs. I'm not sure if it will. And there it goes. It shows up with the splash. And it shows up with the game. And we also have our performance monitor up in the left corner. So it is pretty much set up for gaming. And normally, if you were to do this on the Windows, if you have, and this is something I realized, if you are running this on the Windows and you have something like RivaTuner or RivaTuner Statistics server opened, it will not go past the logging screen. Maybe it's fixed. It didn't do that on Windows for me. Under Linux, it just does it. It just does it, which is perfectly fine. And there it is. Forza Horizon 5 running under Linux without any issues. So we're gonna press start the game, and this will ask us to log into our Microsoft account. Which, if you have your Etsy host file set up the way I used to have it, you wouldn't be able to log in at all. So and we should be able to log in. It should say welcome to Xbox with my username, and there we are. We are logged in. It says welcome. We'll say custom. We'll go into video. I said video, not audio. Video. 60 resolution scaling is off. Resolution is on. Full screen is on. Show FPS no. Motion blur, we'll set that to off because I don't like it. That's FOV stuff. Sure. Can we save that? Cool. Let's go to graphics. Holy crap! It's set to high settings. Maybe this will work just fine if we use that. Keep an eye on all the shader cache and stuff. It's gonna grow in size. Motion blur. Low. I don't like motion blur. If you haven't noticed. Shader quality high, particles medium, SSR, word card detail, SAO, TTA sharpness, TTA is off. Yeah, pretty decent settings for our setup. So, and in terms of difficulty, if you're wondering, these are the settings I use. Some of these may be controversial. I like these. These look pretty nice, work pretty nicely for me. Hot Wheels stunt steering assist. I guess it's for a steering wheel. Sure. Alright. So if we click continue, we should be able to get into the game, and we're now optimizing shaders. So this will take some bit of a load on my CPU. As you can see, we're hitting it. We're not showing every single thread, every single core on our CPU, unfortunately. That's something that would have to be adjusted either by G overlay, which I wasn't able to figure out why it isn't working, or by something else. But this works. If you need a basic readout, you have it with Mango HUD, because Mango HUD started working. So, and there we are. Obviously, the performance in the beginning is going to be like ass.
Welcome back, Tom.
So let's see. So we're running this on high settings, which isn't really doing me any favors now on my setup. As you can see, we're having stutters all around the place, which sure is great for the shader cache and compat data, for the shader cache in general, but it's not great performance, especially not on my rig. So I'm going to settings, go into graphics, and set the preset to, or set these to medium, some of these to low. So set them one notch down for each. These were set to high. I knew that setting these to high would be causing me problems. Right, let's save, and let's restart now. So this will restart the game, which will end it and then start it up again. And as you can see, it does that flawlessly without any issues, which reminds me, we're going to settings and disable the FPS counter because we're not gonna need it. It works from main go HUD. VKD 3D still, as I mentioned before, as you can see up here, VKD 3D. As I mentioned before, VKD 3D is for DirectX 12. Then there's the XVK from DirectX 10 to 11. Then there's D3 D9X, I think. But yeah. Right, let's start the game and let's see. You can see the version of the game in the bottom left corner. Let's get into the game. And this time we loaded in much faster because we didn't have to wait for optimizing game settings. And the FPS or performance on average is looking way nicer now. It's looking way more playable. So we're going to go back into the main overworld. And as you can see, we're hitting somewhere around 54 FPS. But for some reason our GPU usage is quite low. There it is. But the game runs, which is the main thing. So sometimes if you're recording with your GPU, it will try and reallocate certain things. But the game runs under Linux. I didn't really change anything, really. I didn't do anything. So the game runs. I can play the game. Bear in mind that if you cannot connect via your... as you can see, we can see other players playing right now. The performance right now will be kind of lackluster, and that's because we're building up a shader cache. But once we do finish building that stuff up, we should see a noticeable performance improvement. So it's better to play the game for a few minutes. It's gonna stutter in the beginning, so bear that in mind. You can add me on Xbox if you want to. I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to join you guys as much in terms of playing games, but it does run. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. But the game runs like really well on my RX 480. Again, I'm gonna be upgrading my GPU at some point in the future, as you do if you're a PC gamer or PC gaming enthusiast. But it runs, so as a basic system monitor, it works now, so it's pretty cool. I swear to you, I didn't change anything. So maybe there is a few things you need to do differently, maybe. The game runs, which is amazing, how it's holding steady 60 FPS. After the settings have been slightly changed. I only changed the settings slightly. So it works. We're gaming under Linux. And yeah, that's pretty much proof that you can get into gaming under Linux. And I showed you all the steps and all the things and everything in there that I did to make it work on my system. So, and as you can see in the top left, you can't see it, but I'm logged in with my Xbox account, as we did while setting this up. Alright, so another title that should be worthwhile testing, so we can end off this video and end off this saga, so I can edit this, is GTA 5. GTA 5 will be arguably one of the largest titles here that we will be using up most of our time, so we will launch into single player or online? Single player. Let's do single player first instead of multiplayer. Single player should work and be much faster than multiplayer. And I still have to finish the story mode. As you can see, it shows up with the language select, even though we did install it for GTA 4 previously. So maybe it will install the rest. Maybe. Don't run all-star games on close. Let it finish everything else, because it will launch it anyways. And people used to have problems under like running Rockstar Games launcher under Proton. But as you can see, it's running under Proton GE, and it's a like minor thing. Which means we should be able to play Red Dead Redemption 2 and other games as well, which I'm still considering getting at some point as a game. So I'm thinking of getting Red Dead Redemption 2 and playing that on my system. But I want to finish most of these single player games that I have right now in my library first before I attempt anything else. Alright, and we should soon see a improvement. As you noticed, was likely enable cloud saves, obviously. Enable those cloud saves. I'm happy that my saves migrated over from my previous system for Cyberpunk. I was quite scared that my saves didn't move. Should restart it real soon. So I'm wondering if Mango HUD is the thing preventing us from launching Bioshock. So I want to look into that and see if that's the case, if Bioshock will work after this. So let's see. Even though we should be getting more than 60. So I'm thinking if it's one of the settings that I have enabled over there. And there's the game running at 70 frames per second in the garage here. So if I go out, 100, 136, 200, 300, 224, 50. So the game runs. GTA 5 runs and can be played over here. At like 50 frames per second with those settings. Bear in mind we are recording the gameplay right now. So the frame rate will be obviously higher if I stop recording. But these are the settings I play GTA 5 under. I think they're better cast than this. Or yeah, it's all the same car pretty much. So yeah, that's the game. It's running now. So I'm interested now. Can we get this to a state where we can actually play Bioshock as well? Because if that's the case, if just removing the Mango HUD launch option fixed it, then we should be good to go with all the games in our library. Let's find Bioshock in my library here real quick. Go into properties of the game. Go all the way back. Disable Mango HUD by removing it. And let's run it. Let's see if the game runs with Mango HUD disabled. I don't think it will, but... Or it does now work. Okay, so disabling Mango HUD makes the game work. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? So disabling Mango HUD. So try disabling Mango HUD sometimes. If you don't want the FPS thing and just want to play games, then disable Mango HUD. You don't really need Mango HUD to be able to play these games. I have it because I wanted to have it enabled. So there you go. If the game isn't really working, for some reason windowed mode was on. And there we go. It got set up properly now. Running in proper full screen. Let's try and continue from our save file. I didn't get far into the story, so it doesn't really matter. And there it goes. You can see that our shaders and stuff are being compiled maybe, but the game runs. It runs pretty fine. So if you're after just playing those games, try disabling Mango HUD and you can get all the games to run suddenly. So GTA 5 works now, Bioshock works now, Cyberpunk we saw works pretty decently after tweaking those settings actually. So, and I'm recording this at like 30 FPS to not tax my GPU with playing the game. But it is working, and I am happy that it is. Because I use this desktop for playing games, and it's working. So let me just save the game here. Let's create a new save just in case. So game has been saved. Let's quit the Windows, squid, and no. So that works now. So some games will work nicely with Mango HUD, some games won't. I will look into that possibly, and yeah, Horizon 5 works. GTA's work. To it, there's not much. Again, I will put all the notes in the description below. We're back at this screen again, showing you that it is running in the Valent. I'll have to look into what to do with the with the like other like game side of things. Maybe it's something to do with Wayland, maybe not. Other games that are running at 60, I don't mind that they are running at 60. But Osu is one of the games where I need that lower latency, and I just cannot afford to have this. Preventing me from performing pretty well. I could play it like this, but I wouldn't be happy with it. So, yeah, that's it. Jumping in here real quick, I wanted to mention a few more things because I'm gonna get some flack if I don't. I'm gonna open up the notes that I've recently taken. And I tried adding a few things, but here's the thing. I did install Minecraft 3 fancy thing. You saw me install it and launch it, I think. Installed from via the Flatpak from FlatHub and stuff. I also installed Flowblade as a video editor just now. It seems to be working fairly well and opens up really quickly, and it doesn't require any project files in order to be used. So that's really nice to see. And I figured I'd just show you guys what I did also differently. That's like it basically. There's not much else to it. I tried running a few more games. Those turned out to be working. Steam has been working. And yeah. I just want to make sure that you guys know this. There's also the script that hasn't been uploaded yet. Will be uploaded real soon. This setting up like Origin to work under Lutris and stuff, that would be a separate video on its own. I already went into great detail about setting up the shader cache and stuff, and there's also another thing that will be addressed, and that being me mentioning, well, I should just disable VSync in like OSU. Well, that's the thing. Other games like Cyberpunk, you saw go way beyond 60 FPS in some cases. Games like GTA 5 also going above 60. So GTA 4 sometimes hitting 60, but I prefer playing these games at 60 FPS anyway. So there's a few things, a few like caveats to this. Turns out that there are certain things that get disabled or re-enabled and stuff like that. I didn't also add Ghost Rider into my bar there. Should probably add that. Currently finishing up like the setup, how I would like to have it look. This seems pretty nice. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I tried adding like Minecraft and other things. I also have games like Osu and League. Both of them work, and that's pretty much all that matters. League playing that at 60, that's more than enough for me. I'm not that much of a hardcore gamer, but playing other games like Cyberpunk and such, it's really nice. And then I discovered this really lovely editor called Flowblade. Again, opening up again, it's really fast. Can be installed just by doing studio apps install Flowblade, and you have the editor. It's a really basic, real simple one, and it works really fast. So I like this. I like the way it looks. You just put in the files, and I'm gonna go and edit this stuff now before I end the video itself. So yeah. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe. If you have any other mentions, ideas, and things, let me know in the comment section below. And I will try and cover how to set up everything else in separate videos, possibly. So that's it from me. Wanted to just jump in and let you know about this stuff. So make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because long form content will be hopefully a staple on this channel and for future times to come as well. So yeah, that is it from me, and I hope to see all the beautiful people next time. Bye for now.